What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Reel Hunting, where we hunt for the good reels so you don't have to. It's your boy Brad. The Brett man's right over there. We got a special guest, my brother Eric, down here. You've seen him before. He's the man. He actually picked this movie out for us to review, so we figured we would get him on to review it with us because we've never seen it. Today, we're tackling Donnie Darko, and it's going to be a good time. If you haven't seen this movie before, you can check it out. We're gonna be talking spoilers here, obviously, but you can find this for free on Tubi if you haven't seen it before. But anyway, how's it going?
It's going good.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure what's going to get more weird around here. This movie review or Eric's hand.
That's right.
Oh yes, that's fantastic. Bert, why don't you fill us in?
That's gonna lead to an epic point at the end of this video.
That's right.
That's right.
But all right, let's get into this. The cast of this movie, we got a young Jake Gyllenhaal, Jenna Malone, Drew Barrymore, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and of course Patrick Swayze, which is directed by Richard Kelly.
Yes. Don't be controlled by your fears, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Patrick Swayze would say. So this movie is pretty much about a dude, i.e. Jake Gyllenhaal, who keeps getting he sleepwalks at night. He meets this bunny and it tells him the world's going to end, pretty much. And then things just get weirder and weirder as the movie it goes on, and all kinds of twists and turns happens. Drew Barrymore's there for a minute. It's wild. I can't really begin to explain exactly what happens in a nutshell. So we're going to just get into this thing.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about some Drew Barrymore here, but not at the beginning, unfortunately.
Woo! All right, so let's talk about what we're liking about it, guys.
All
so,
right.
Well, first
let's
of all,
go to them positives.
So you guys only seen the movie once, right?
One time, yeah.
So I guess, and you watched the free one on Tubi, right?
That's correct. Yep.
All right, so there's also a director's cut to this movie that there actually explains a lot more about this movie. It's actually adds like 20 more minutes to the movie.
Okay.
See, that would have been a negative for me already.
This is when I go into one of my first positives about the movie. It's like I like the version that you guys watched more. I think it's just more fun. I remember the first time I watched this movie, I think it was like 2007. It kind of blew me away. I was like, what did I just watch? Like, what just happened in this movie? You know, it's like the ending, you're just like sitting there just kind of like so confused. I like movies like that. But also this movie, you can figure out what happened in this movie. It's actually pretty easy, which is one of the positives for me, because there's a lot of movies out there that you watch and you're like, what just happened? You can't figure it out. There's theories. This movie can be explained a couple of ways. Like the director's cut has an extra 20 minutes in this movie, and it kind of explains, the book that he gets, the time travel book.
Yep.
Yes.
You can actually read some of the things in that book that explains what you're watching in this movie. Also, when they released this movie, they did a website where you could actually read the book, the time travel book. It's kind of confusing.
Nice.
But there's a lot of good websites out there that break down this book. And this book explains exactly what's happening in this movie. If you don't know what's going on, like if you don't know these details, the movie's going to be very confusing and you're not going to be able to explain it. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot of different universes in this movie. It is a tangent universe, going on.
Yeah. Which is basically like from the first time I guess he sees the bunny, or when the thing comes down to the it's basically what gets erased at the end, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to be terrible at explaining it, but if you just type in Donnie Darko explained, I think the very first website you pops up, it tells the story of what's going on. It tells you what's happening and why Donnie's been selected. He's actually been selected in this movie to actually kind of be it's almost like a superhero movie in a way.
Yes.
Which is very interesting. A lot of people don't see it like that, but it is. He kind of is picked to be called, he's like a receiver in the movie, and he's actually got super powers in this movie, or abilities in the movie you might not even be aware of, but he does have them.
Well, that actually does make sense, because like he did like put that? Do you not put that axe like in the middle of that like statue at the?
And that's one of his powers is he's strength. He gets strength.
That
That
actually makes a
and-
lot of sense.
And he's walking the girl home, and she's like, "Hey, what's your name? Donnie Darko. That sounds like you should be a superhero. What makes you think I'm not? You know,
Yep,
like it."
exactly.
Yeah.
I actually have that written down, that line, because another big positive for me in this movie is the details in this movie. There's so many little details. We could talk for hours probably about the details in this movie. That is one little detail you just pointed out. Walking down the street, she's like, "What kind of name is that? You know, superhero?" And he's like, "What if I am? You know what? I didn't say I wasn't." In reality, in this movie, he is. He does have powers, and he does have to save the world, and he ends up saving the world in this movie. And so the details in this movie are, I don't know, you're going to miss a lot, especially the first time you watch this movie. You're going to be more thinking, "What did I just watch?" Once you know kind of what's going on in this movie, it's more fun to go back and watch it and like pick up on these details, kind of read into it. And I love movies like this. I'm always trying to find movies like this one, just because it's fun. I don't know. I watched it last night, went back and did some more reading on it, found even more little things I didn't know. And I've seen this movie probably 8 times.
Yeah.
And I learned more last night reading more into this movie than I have before. Let me tell you guys another little detail that I like that I found out last night, that the opening song, it's called "The Killing Moon," which if you guys remember in the movie, he has 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I had that pulled up just in case.
Yeah, and that was created by adding or subtracting 1 from each number, which is the precise length of the lunar cycle, which the opening song is "The Killing Moon," which is just another little detail. You know, like, I love movies like that. They put so much thought into it.
Yeah.
And that's just a I don't know, just another little detail that I like about the movie. It took 28 days to shoot the movie, which wasn't like they didn't try to do that. And it roughly took him 28 days to write the movie. Just weird things like that are pretty cool. And the number 8 pops up a lot in the movie. It's 1988 is the year. He mentions Back to the Future in the movie randomly.
Great Scott!
Which is they had to go 88 miles per hour to go back in time. You know, I just love little things like that.
Yeah, is there like Avengers Endgame? Is time travel bullshit in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a time travel thing going on. It's also a parallel universe, an alternate universe kind of situation, depending on how you look at it.
So this is definitely a Marvel movie right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. Well, I think it's fantastic because there's so many different ways you can look at it. You can look at it like you just said, he just saved the world by giving himself up. You could also look at it like he's mentally ill. And he, like, the whole thing is his own illusions, because he's not a reliable narrator in this, right?
Yeah.
Like he's kind of like watching, you know, when you see Harley Quinn in the whatever movie that was, kind of give you the details of the movie. Like, you don't know exactly what actually happened because she's not a reliable narrator. It's kind of the same thing here. There's plenty of different ways you could take it. I like the way you just described it the best. That's kind of the way I look at it. But you could also look at it as, you know, schizophrenia or whatever. I forgot what he was diagnosed with in the movie.
No, that was about it. I got it right here if you want me to try to pronounce it.
Go for it.
Paranoid. We're just gonna go with Brad says.
Yeah.
He was right.
Well, Brad hits on a good point too, because this movie, it's almost like 2 stories in a way. When I watch it, it's, you know, you got this whole time travel stuff, different universes, but also you just got a story of a young teenager who's troubled, who's trying to navigate his way through life, high school. He's got these adults telling him one thing, you know, like there's a line Drew Barrymore said in the movie that stuck out to me last night. She said that, I wrote it down here, prescribed nonsense. A lot of these teachers and stuff, they're telling you, like, the spectrum is like everything's going to be love or it's going to be fear. You can't be in the middle, according to them. They're just like, oh, you got to be this way or that way. And he's like, wait a minute, there's so much more in the middle. Why? And it's just a lot of nonsense And that's what a lot of this movie is it's just different characters in this movie. It relates to the real world so much as well. And just, I don't know, it's a whole different story within itself, I think, as well. So
I love the introduction of that teacher. One thing, just not on a story level, but one thing that's fantastic about this, obviously, is one thing we got to mention is the performance by Jake Gyllenhaal in this thing.
Yeah, I was getting ready to mention that. That's like my major positive about this movie, because the main thing he did, I was super impressed with, especially with him. Like, I believe this is one of his earliest roles too. Is his facial expressions. Like, oh my gosh, like that's hard to teach, and he nailed it. Like, you were invested in his character and with his mannerisms and his decision making, his thought process, especially his love for Christina Applegate.
Yeah,
during that hypnosis scene.
Yeah,
I thought he did a great job. I thought he nailed the role. This actually role was going to go to a few other people before him. Initially, Vince Vaughn was going to be the lead, which is this crazy because he was 30 something years old when this movie was being made, and that was his biggest problem, was like, how am I going to play a 16-year-old?
Right.
And then they linked it to Mark Wahlberg, which could have been okay.
That would have been a good casting choice, because I haven't watched the movie, but I was like moderating a live watch party of Fear, and from everything I heard about that movie, Mark Wahlberg could fit in that role of Donnie Darko very well.
I think so. And then it was also Jason Schwartzman was actually signed to play the role, and then some scheduling conflicts came up, and he had to bail out. He could have been another pretty good choice. But I think Jake Gyllenhaal landed the role and he killed it, and it's hard for me to see anyone else being Donnie Darko. I thought he did a great job in the movie.
Yeah, I don't think I could see anybody else doing it at this point. Like, those other two were pretty decent choices. Vince Vaughn, not so much, but
yeah, that was weird.
But
he would have been too tall for that role.
Oh, definitely. But it's just cool because I think this is probably one of his first leading roles in a movie. I don't know if he's ever been a lead in a movie before this, but I think he killed it. I think he's a great actor. I think he's only gotten better over time, some of his roles. So I think he killed it. So
he definitely made some leaps after October Sky.
Oh yeah, forgot about
that. Do you know who I really enjoyed in this movie as well? I liked Jenna Malone, Greenwich. I really enjoyed her character as well, just because she really does a great job selling of how much she cares about Donnie, and just how he wants him to be okay, and she supports him and all that. It just seemed very innocent in this entire movie. They explained a very good background story to her about her and her mother leaving her stepfather, who was very abusive. But they didn't show the stepfather in this movie, which that's another good thing I did like. Just like again, Eric says, and another positive, this movie makes you think. You got to think of, okay, what is this stepfather actually like, since we don't get to see him? Or I love how movies make you think. So that's why you really got to pay attention to this movie, which I love when movies force you to pay attention. But yeah, I thought Jenna Malone just did a really good job selling the Gretchen character.
I think so. That was going to be another positive for me, is the cast overall in the movie. I think got some good names in this movie. You got Jake Gyllenhaal. You got a sister in the movie. You've got
which is actually his wife, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
That's his sister.
That's his real sister. Oh, yeah, they're real brother sister in real life.
Don't get weird, Bert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
yeah.
That's okay. And then then you got a Patrick Swayze in the movie, which I love, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with him or you've seen a lot of his movies, but this role for him is this completely outside the box. Like, he's never done anything like this. He's not in it a lot, but he was so down for this movie. He actually wore his own clothes from the 80s in this movie. He shot all the promo, the little promo videos that he did.
I was about to say, those videos were gold, dude. I could totally when she comes rolling in there with the TV, dude. I'm like, yes, what's about to happen? And then
Oh,
she
yeah.
pops that in. I'm like, this is totally something we would have watched in 7th grade.
Exactly.
And it's got the horses playing like in the background and stuff. It's like, "Woo!
Oh yeah.
Don't be afraid of your fears."
Yeah,
It
so
was
I loved his role in it. It was small, but it was just so different for him, and he was excited for it, and he was totally on board. And then you have Drew Barrymore, who actually saved the movie. Her production company signed on to produce this movie. And if it wasn't for her, it wasn't even going to go to theater.
Interesting.
Yeah, like she got the script. They came to her. The director came to her, showed her the script. She was so on board. She loved the script. She wanted to be in the movie. She was like, "I'm going to produce the movie." So she put the money up to produce the movie. And I thought, her role again was small, but she did a great job with her role in the movie as well.
Yeah. Do you know who I was very shocked to see in this movie?
Who?
Seth Rogen. What the hell? That was like completely random. I'm like, what in the hell is he doing in this movie? But
Very first acting
one
role.
of his. Oh, it was it. See, I was like, this had to be his first acting role because
it was.
I did not hardly recognize him, even though he did his job well as playing a bully in the school.
Yeah, the very first acting role in the movie, in a movie. So that's kind of interesting. There's a lot of names in this movie. I think some of them have gotten bigger through the years, and I thought the cast itself, especially the family unit, did a really good job. I felt like a lot of chemistry there. The opening scene of them, or the scene where they're eating at the table, talking, it just felt like a real family. You're sitting there watching a real family. I don't know. I thought the cast did a very good job with chemistry in the movie.
And that makes a lot of sense now with Jake Gyllenhaal and Maggie Gyllenhaal, how much of a connection and chemistry they had with each other, brother and sister dynamic. So that's what another positive for me is their interactions with each other.
Yeah,
I think another fantastic, and we kind of talked about this. First off, I got to mention Miss Farmer, Beth Grant.
God, yeah.
She looks like Dewey Crow from Justified.
Yeah,
and she's out there with her she was crazy. She was awesome. She was so corny and goofy, but it's also something so familiar about it.
Familiar, yeah.
Yeah,
you see her today. You see people like her out today everywhere.
Totally.
Social media, that kind of stuff. She's like when Patrick Swayze's character gets blamed for the child porn, she's like, this can't be true. It's like, I gotta go support him, and just you just roll in your eyes. You're just like, oh my god,
I'm like, this lady.
What is it she said to her own daughter right before the dance thing? She's like, you're gonna throw up, or something about throwing up, or if you throw up,
if you got to throw up, you got to
swallow it. Yep.
That's nasty.
She was nuts, dude. It was awesome, just so entertaining. And that kind of gets me into just some of the way this movie does it does such a great job of balancing comedy and freaking darkness going on. Like at one moment you have freaking Donnie over there burning down a building, and then it cuts to freaking Miss Farmer telling her kid to eat her vomit.
Yeah.
And just the way she is, and then like it kind of gets into the dialogue, what you guys were just talking about, like when you're talking at dinner and stuff, and then like when Donnie's out there talking with his buddy and he starts freaking out about the Smurfs being asexual and all that kind of stuff.
The Smurfette.
Yeah. It just blends all that so well. Like the comedy really is pulled off great, even though the other side of it's so dark.
Exactly.
So, do we have any more positives about this movie? Because we pretty much named the big positives in this movie.
I'll tell you another big positive for me in this movie is the soundtrack, the music. Huge. It's one of my favorite things in the movie. Opening song is great. I think whoever, when they picked out the music, they did a perfect job. Especially
with the last one.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Donnie's getting off the back of the bus. They're walking into the school. The music's kicked on. They're walking. It's like a little camera going through the school. You're getting introduced to a bunch of different characters. They're not saying anything, but you kind of get a feel for who all these characters are, their personalities, and they're not even saying anything. But the music is it's vibing. I don't know. I love the music in it. The very end, Mad World, I think is the name of the song.
Yeah, Mad World.
The song's perfect for the ending of this movie. I don't know. I love the music. I love it, and just the little piano and here and there in the movie as well is great. So it's a huge positive for me is the music in this movie. So
Yeah, I agree. And like the scene where he wakes up, I think the first time he's following the bunny or whatnot. I think this is the first time when you actually see the bunny. The music that plays, the soundtrack or the score rather, that they put in place there, it's fantastic. It's very suspenseful, and it's and all throughout the theme comes back. It's excellent.
Yeah, and let's just go with this last positive here. This bunny right here.
oh yeah,
The look of that bunny to me is excellent. Its goal is to freak you the hell out, and that's exactly what it did every single time it popped. Mr. Frank here popped up.
Oh yeah,
and I guess we'll get to Mr. Frank.
I love the mystery behind him too. You see he's got the eye damage. Like, what's going on with this guy? What happened? What's the deal? And then it all obviously gets revealed later. But
all that
you're right.
In his voice when he's talking to him.
Oh yeah, the voice. Yeah, the voice was matched the outfit too.
Yeah. And Donnie's sitting there like with the knife, like hitting the little thing, and it's like its eye. It's so creative.
They're very creepy. Also, Christopher Nolan really liked this movie as well. He actually, The Dark Knight and this movie has a connection with, I think in the part in the movie when they're talking about the book, I think it's called The Defenders. I think I wrote this, The Destructors. And they're asking Donnie what the movie meant to, or the book meant to him. And he says something about chaos or burning the money just to see if they wants to see the world burn. And they mentioned that in the Dark Knight, the Joker, he's just wanting to see the world burn.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little connection there with the movies, because he's such a huge fan of the movie, and his movies are kind of out there and weird as well, with like Memento and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool little connection to the movie.
Well, also you got Maggie Gyllenhaal too as a connection in there.
Yeah.
And but most importantly, like this whole movie is kind of about that destruction for being ironic kind of thing, like he's talking about in the class. So I thought that was pretty cool. What about you guys? Remember that fat guy sitting there staring at him in the park when they're like, "Hey, this is a reminder of how beautiful the world is." Oh, there's a fat guy staring.
Yeah, that movie. That guy's actually explained in the director's cut.
Really?
He's actually like an agent, like I forgot what kind of agent, like FBI. It's some kind of agent watching them, kind of following them. He's in disguise. Okay. So that's why I'm saying, if you watch the director's cut, it explains a little bit more of that kind of stuff. So.
I liked him not being explained, just being there.
That's why.
That's
why I like the version you guys watch better. I mean, the director's cut's fun to watch because they explain some, but it's not as good as the original. So
the best soundtrack of this whole thing, though, is on that freaking Fear Seminar VHS for sure.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
Absolutely. So is there any other positives? I know we added a couple more after I said it. But
no, we can move on. I could think of some things. Just like again, something else I was going to mention with the detail of the movie. Just real quick, I read last night is when he's up there, and they're doing the spectrum like fear, love. Donnie has to get up there. His little card says, what if you find a wallet with money in it, and then he's going to take the money. Well, later on, he's walking down the street. He finds a wallet on the ground. It has the license of Patrick Swayze, which has his address, which he knows how to go burn the house. That's a little detail. And as he's walking down with Gretchen, and they're talking about their lives, and he's like, I got in some trouble, and I burned down a house or a structure. He's actually standing right in front of Patrick Swayze's house when he tells her that. There's like a lot of little details in the movie that I just love that you go back and find out. It just shows me how much attention to detail they put into writing the script and stuff. So
that's fantastic. I love how detailed it is. Even small things like the little board on the fridge. It's like when he goes up there in the first morning, he says, "Where's Donnie?" on it after he just woke up out there in the street, and it has different notes on it throughout that are a little bit, kind of telling you where things are going. It's kind of interesting. And but yeah, I mean, it is super detail oriented.
But other than that, we can go on to move on from positives.
Yeah. Do we have any mixes? Because honestly, I really don't have a mix in this one.
For me, like I guess so many positives. I'm not going to have a lot of negatives, but there's for me. The only thing I could really think of for me was, the acting isn't the best throughout the whole movie. I think it is more of a low budget movie. You have some big names in the movie who I think perform very well, but then also you have some people in there. It's probably the first time ever being in a movie. I don't think I've ever seen some of them since. So the acting at times isn't isn't the best. Seth Rogen's in the movie, first movie ever.
Yeah.
He's not even today. I don't think he's the best actor out there. He's funny. I like him. I like his movies, but he's not a great actor, and you could tell he's not the best in this movie. I think he plays his role. He has like one line in the movie, which was just kind of whatever. But I still liked him in the movie. But there's just a few things like that about the movie. The acting's not the best. So that's my only like kind of in the middle, because there is some really good acting, and then there isn't. So.
Yeah, and in a future video, this is an unpopular opinion, but I think Seth Rogen's overrated.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's for another video. But I guess like if you put it that way, Eric, I guess for a mix, because it was a negative, but honestly, it's a personal like preference. So I'll just put it in the mix right now. I could have loved to see Drew Barrymore be in this movie more. I feel like if you're going to get a big name like her, she needs to be like a focal point of the movie. And I really liked her character too, and like how you said the prescription line, that one line in the movie. That's where I fell in love with her. And finished her screaming, "Fuck!" and all that. Like I could have used a lot more of that. And I feel like she could have like been a heavy influence in Donnie's like adventure in this movie, and like into his progression, trying to be a positive influence to him. And I could use more Drew Barrymore in this movie.
I agree.
Yeah, she was good. I think as far as for mixed, it's really probably my most negative thing about the movie is actually more of a mixed thing, and it's probably going to change the more I watch this movie. After my first time watch, I'm a little bit mixed about how ambitious this film is. It's a little bit, at times, it can be a little bit extra. But at the same time, that's what I love about it. I love how there's so many different ways you can interpret it, and how many, and you know, how the movie can actually have a different message behind it, depending on how you look at it. I like that. But at the same time, it can be a little bit, just for a casual watch. There's not, I guess, I don't know, for a casual watch, you have to really pay attention to it to really understand what's going on. I guess is the best way to put it. But again, it's more of a mix because I also love it. So I don't know. That's really it. I don't really have a lot I don't like about this movie. So that was just me kind of nitpicking a little bit.
Okay. So I guess we're ready to go to our negatives.
I'll start. I'll like my only negative, and Brad kind of just hit on it about this movie. I love the movie. It's one of my top favorite movies of all time. I've seen it so many times. I've got a poster of it on the wall. My biggest negative is it's hard to recommend this movie. When Brad asked me, "What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about?" First thing that popped in my mind was Donnie Darko, but at the same time, I don't know. It's not for everyone. So it's one of those, like, I can't just tell you, "Oh, watch this movie, you're gonna love it." You got to really love movies. You got to be able to like these kinds of movies. So it's very hard to recommend to people. It's not like I just throw this movie out to anyone to watch, because there's probably plenty of people that I'm not going to recommend it to. Even when I thought of you two guys, I was like, I think you guys will like it, but I'm not sure. But I still want to see your all's reaction to it. You guys you've got this channel, you're watching all kinds of movies. I think I could probably recommend 20 movies right now that I know you would love, that you've probably never seen. I would feel so confident in it. This movie, I'm not as confident, just because it is weird. It is different. It does take a little bit more research to understand this movie. It takes a few viewings. It takes a lot to appreciate this movie for what it is. And some people, it's not for everybody. It's not everyone's cup of tea. So that's my negative on it. Is just, it is very hard to recommend to people, because you guys could just watch it and be like, I don't understand that. I hated it, you know. But also, a lot of people like it. I think it's got it's like an 8 out of 10 on IMDb. It's like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that. It's got high.
Then mostly 4s on Letterboxd.
It bombed at the theater when it came out. It only made like $500,000 or something like that. But then DVD came. It made millions off DVD. So
so when you say it got more of a cult following recently,
so that's my biggest negative on it. It's just, it's hard to recommend to people. For me, other than that, I love a lot of things in the movie. I've seen it so many times, so it's hard for me to actually pick out something I hate about the movie. So
Totally.
Yeah, and with my negative, like kind of like as you say, like this movie is not for everybody. When I like the first 30 minutes of this movie, I was watching, I'm like, oh man, what the hell am I getting myself into? This does not look like my kind of movie right here.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's still not my cup of tea. Even though I did really enjoy this movie a lot, which I'll get to the score here in a little bit. But also parts of it just didn't make sense to me, like the portals and all that, and the jet engine, like dropping on the house. Like I know they explained it, but it still just didn't make that much sense to me.
Well,
And
the crazy thing is they didn't explain it really in the movie. That's it's.
But
just
kind of
figure
like
it out. But you can figure it out. Trust me. If you just look into it a little bit, it all kind of makes sense and how all that happens. So just throwing that out there.
And that's what's cool. It doesn't. It throws so much craziness at you, but it doesn't hold your hand and walk you through it and tell you step by step what happened, like a lot of movies do. So that's why I was in my mix. I'm sorry, Bert. You go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, actually, we're kind of like going on like what I was trying to explain. I'm one of those movie viewers where I like those certain things to be explained. I'm one of those kind of movie goes. Like I want people, like yes, I like to ask like a little bit of questions and to figure it out for myself. But this kind of movie, I kind of want you to explain what the hell is going on, like all the way through. And I'm one of those kind of movie viewers. So that's why that is like more towards my negative side. While for Brad, that could be more on the mix and positive side. And Eric, I'm going to go ahead and say that would be on the positive side.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's one of those things it's like the first time you watch it, it's almost frustrating because you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to know what the heck's going on. But the more and more you watch
I was like that throughout the first half of the movie.
Yeah, but the more and more you watch it, the more you figure out each time you watch it. It's one of those things that's got endless rewatchability because every time you watch it, you're going to have more stuff you're picking up on and more stuff, and you're going to appreciate it more and more every time you watch it, which a lot of movies is the opposite. You know, you really like it the first time, but then like everything's revealed and you're like, okay, when you go back and revisit it, it's just not, there's nothing else new to pick up on, you know. But yeah, that's for me. I think this is a movie that Brett, I'm sorry, it's your turn. I keep rambling.
It was just that in the act and just some acting issues like Eric put on his mix. Like some of the acting was not very strong, and there was just a lot of characters were just just forgettable. Like even like the old lady like that almost got hit at the beginning that played a crucial role in this movie. I totally forgot about her until now during this review. So that just explains some of my problems. Like with some of the characters being being forgettable and some of the acting.
That makes sense. I think, yeah, I mean, really, there's not a lot I don't like about this movie. Again, it's the stuff that I explained in the mix is really the only thing that really kind of pulls it down. And those are things that are fixable upon more rewatches, I think. So I don't think there's a lot. I mean, if I had to nitpick something just to throw a negative out there for you guys, because that's what we do, would be maybe, and maybe this isn't even correct. I'd probably have to rewatch it, but maybe Seth Rogen and his buddies' characters weren't really needed. You didn't really need to add that extra element of the bullies, I guess. But at the same time, that's what brings you the ending. So, hey, I don't know. Maybe that's incorrect. But again, that's just a nitpick thing, just off the top of my head, just trying to think of something negative to throw out there. I think you could have replaced some of their time with Drew Barrymore maybe and gotten her involved a little bit more. But but either way, it's not like they had a lot of screen time anyway. But
yeah.
But you think if you're going to produce, like, if you're going to be like the person that saves the movie and how much you want to be in the movie, you're going to get a lot more screen time.
Yeah, and maybe too, I think maybe there was a time period in the movie where right after Jake Gyllenhaal and his girl Gretchen start going together, as he would put it, she kind of goes away. Yeah, she that's what we call it around here. She kind of goes away for it felt like at least 30 minutes. That might be wrong. And then she kind of comes back a little bit later. He could have probably fleshed out the relationship a little bit more. Just to kind of feel that ending a little bit more when things kind of hit the fan. But overall, I liked her character. I thought she did a really good job and whatnot. I just think if for the nitpick, maybe you could have fleshed them out a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Like to have the payoff for when she does die, and you feel more sympathy towards her. And I'm like, oh, she's just taking a nap, or oh shit, she's dead. Yeah, like I don't care that much. Like Brad was spot on with that. Like I wish they would have dragged on that relationship and made it as good as, like, even better, so that payoff at the end it could be more devastating.
Yeah, it had moments of a good relationship, and it was. I mean, overall, but there
Yeah,
was
but
room.
it could
I
be
think there was
better.
room to. I think there was room to be fleshed out a little bit more, and really, what I think would have made the ending a little bit more impactful. Not that it wasn't already, but just a little bit extra oomph.
Yeah, I agree. Could have saw a little bit more of those two together. But I mean, I feel like too, if you guys go back and watch this movie a few more times, you'll appreciate it even more. I think this is my kind of closing with the movie. If you first read into it, understand the timeline that's going on in the movie, then it kind of opens up your eyes. Like, oh, okay, I'm kind of understanding this movie. I understand what's happening in this movie. You're going to understand the ending of the movie, and it kind of makes a lot more sense. That's all I could really recommend about the movie. If you guys are more interested in it, is kind of read up on it. And you'll appreciate it a lot more. And the details, like I said, I've seen this movie at least 8 times, still finding the little details about the movie that just make it enjoyable for me. So,
all right. I do have one important question.
Go ahead.
Are you going to suggest us the sequel to this movie? Because I did
No.
do some research, and I did saw there was a sequel to this movie where it's the little girl, like Samantha is her name. It's going to be like she's the main character.
I've never seen it, but I've just read so many bad things about it, so I've never actually gave it a shot. I'd probably watch it if I came across it on a free streaming channel or something, but I've just read so many bad things about it, and the director wasn't involved with it. So once you kind of start taking those things out, you're just trying to, like, it's almost like a money grab. Like, people that really like the movie are going to watch it, but
yeah, I'm looking at it later. Yeah, I'm looking at Letterboxd right here. It's called S Darko. Yeah. And it has this is just according to Letterboxd, 1.4 stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that explains a lot.
Would you recommend Donnie Brasco?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, me too.
And if you guys ever time travel, I like time travel movies, especially when they're done right. And scientific kind of stuff like that. There's another show that's really good on Netflix called Dark. It's a time travel kind of movie, kind of like this movie in a way. It's kind of dark. The name of it's Dark, but it's on the darker tone of a show, and it's a really good show. But it has a lot of time travel stuff in it. So,
tremendous.
Heck yeah. So is there anything else you want to bring up before we go get our rating for this movie?
I don't think so.
I think I'm good.
All right. I know we tackled a lot here. Like, we're almost at the 40-minute mark. So, yeah, we had a lot more to say about this movie than we anticipated. So that's awesome stuff. So, Eric, how would you rate this movie?
We're going out of 5?
Yes.
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 on it. It's, like I said, it's in my top 15 probably movies of all time for me.
Ooh, so this is a golden reel for you in our standards.
Yeah.
Excellent, dude, that's awesome.
I think I would give it. Oh man, I'm in between. I'd probably I'm leaning towards a 4.5. 4.5. I had it at a 4.25 originally, but just I don't know. It's one of those again. I think upon rewatch, it's only going to get better. So yeah, that's where I'm going to stick it right now.
Yeah, I'm actually I get like Letterboxd. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I'm really a 4.25. Like it's that close to the Yippee Ki Yay standards for me, but I think just a solid 4 out of 5 or 4.25 is a really good score for this movie. Yeah, so that is going to give us a 4.4 if you combine me and Brad's score, and that would be a trip to where, Brad?
The Tosche station to pick up some power converters.
You damn right. That's where I was in a galaxy far, far away. Eric, you say you have one more thought about this movie.
What about the horror movie relationship to it? It's got a lot. It's around Halloween.
Yeah,
it is.
oh,
It
that's
is.
very true.
The mom is reading the book It by Stephen King.
I saw that. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
awesome.
Then they go to see, what movie do they go see
The
in the
Evil
theater?
Dead.
Oh yeah, that was my negative, dude. This freaking Gretchen girl goes in there. She falls asleep in the first 5 minutes of
I
Evil Dead,
know.
dude, before
I
they
know.
even get to the cabin.
Yeah, I know. But it's cool that it's in the movie, though. And he
Yeah.
got permission from Sam Raimi. And then he actually drove by the theater where they had it on the marquee just to see his movie on the marquee. The director.
Yeah, they had Frightmare. They had Halloween. Yeah, dude. You know what? I'm going to have to put this movie in one of my upcoming projects I'm doing for top 100 horror movies.
So it's kind of relatable, you know.
Yeah.
It's got some elements. So
Yeah, I would say it's more thriller, but with some horror elements or like horror like callbacks. So I'll have to do some thinking to see if I put this in the horror ranking or not.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, let us know in the comments section too if y'all think this is worthy enough to be considered a horror movie too. Like to me, it's more thriller, but I can easily, with that point of view right there, that it could be a horror movie.
I think a lot of people probably think horror movie. Like, get the picture in your background, you know, of the rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you see that the box and the, you know, or that pops up, you're searching for movies, you're gonna think, oh wow, what is this movie? You know, it kind of looks like it's gonna be a horror movie. I wouldn't technically rate it a horror movie, but it has those elements. So
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to see this at your Easter party.
Yeah,
I'd put it as a psychological thriller for sure. It would be mine. But yeah, dude, that's it, man. That's all I got about it.
Yeah, that's all I got too. So should we go ahead and take this sucker home?
Yeah, Bert.
So, what did you all think about Donnie Darko? Are you on Eric's side that you think this is an absolute phenomenal movie, great psychological thriller? Or are you kind of like on the other side where this movie is just too weird for you and just not your cup of tea? Let us know in that comment section down below, and let's get that discussion rolling.
And if you want to help us find the good reels, you can do so by finding us on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter, Spotify, and Apple freaking Podcast. We'll put those links for the description.
And that's Snapchat.
Yeah. The Snapchat was there somewhere. And yeah, we'll have those links available for you guys down there.
Absolutely. And Eric, thank you so much for suggesting, not only just suggesting this movie to us, but hopping on here and just talking about some Donnie Darko. That's a really awesome conversation we had, and we appreciate your time.
Not a problem.
So,
most definitely.
Hell yeah. So be sure, guys, to like this video, subscribe, and share, because we're at 150 as of this recording for subs. And once we get to 200, we're going to have a little dance party, and I love to get my groove on. And ring that bell, ding, 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 so you know when the next video is up and running.
And we will see you guys soon.
See you guys.
There's that finger down there.
Yeah, look at the finger. Look at the finger. Okay. I did have it right here. Where the hell did it go?
I'm looking forward to this.
Shut up.